Story 1. How it even exists. How anything exists. No matter how you look at it or what you believe in, something that seems impossible happened. Something either came from nothing or just always existed, yet here we are. Story 2. For me, I understand and generally comprehend the distance between stars, but the one that just trips me up is that all planets can fit between the moon and Earth. I mean, even our closest little old neighbor is crazy far away. And we know how enormous Jupiter is compared to Earth, but it just slides easily between Earth and the moon. So, I get the crazy huge scale, but even the littlest astronomy scale is mind-blowing. Story 3. Voyagers 1 and 2 are still working and conducting scientific research after 45 years using 1970s technology. Despite being billions of miles away, we can still communicate with them. Story 4. We used to have a different moon. Collided with the Earth, and from the debris, our current moon was formed. Also, the North Star isn't the same star as it was 1,000 years ago. As we move through our galaxy, our position relative to the stars changes, and every now and then, we need to appoint a new star to be the brightest one in the north. Story 5. How now doesn't exist. I'm writing this response on my phone in 2025. Do it, then move on with my life. Proxima Centauri is 4 light-years away. Imagine someone there has a ridiculously powerful telescope and points it at Earth in 2029. They see me writing my response for years in my past. Our galaxy is so vast it takes light over 100,000 years to cross it from edge to edge. Light is massless and therefore doesn't experience time. The stars forge the elements. Everything up to iron was forged in the heart of a star. Everything heavier than iron was made in the death throes of a large sun, a supernova. Ultimately, we are from the stars and will return to them. Story 6. The fact that we will get to a point where the only stars we see are those in our own galaxy, because the space between galaxies is expanding exponentially. Gravity seems to keep clusters together, though, so my understanding is that the galaxies themselves, so long as they are stable, will stay relatively close together. We would still see a large number of stars because our galaxy has quite a few, but I do wonder how much emptier the night sky may look. Story 7. I don't believe we are the only ones out there. There is no way. If we exist in this endless galaxy, there are others out there too. I could go into spirals about space all day long. Going to the planetarium after taking an edible is my favorite thing to do. Story 8. It somehow makes me sad, frustrated, bewildered, how we mortals, assuming that none of you here is a deity, will never know the answers to these questions. Or maybe we're all born too early to explore what's out there. Story 9. Space is big. You just will not believe how vastly, hugely, mind-bogglingly big it is. I mean, you may think it is a long way down the road to the chemists, but that is just peanuts to space. Story 10. What I can't wrap my head around is the representation of Earth in space in textbooks. If we reference the textbooks exactly or any depiction of the planets in our solar system, Earth and the other planets are in space right now. But we aren't, right? Story 11. 2 black holes collided at almost the speed of light, and the explosion and force of them hitting created more energy than all the stars in the visible universe 50 times. 50 times all the energy that all stars put out. That's insane. Story 12. Neutron stars are incredibly fascinating. All the matter we see and touch is approximately 99.999999% empty space. If the size of an atom was increased until the nucleus was the size of a grape, the entire atom would be about the size of a major sports stadium, and the electrons would still be microscopic. A neutron star has no empty space. It's a giant ball of pure neutrons, about 10 to 12 kilometers wide. Neutron stars are difficult to comprehend as being real. Story 13. Take the 13.8 billion year lifetime of the universe and map it onto a single year, so that the Big Bang takes place on January 1st at midnight, and the current time is mapped to December 31st at midnight. On this timeline, anatomically modern humans do not show up until about 11:52 p.m. on December 31st, and all of recorded history takes place during the last 10 seconds. This concept is called the cosmic calendar, popularized by Carl Sagan. Story 14. Basically, we are not even a dust particle. If you shrink Earth to the size of a sand particle, zero point 0.5 microns in your palm, then the sun would be as tall as a human, 177 centimeters. If you include Betelgeuse, it would be the size of a 40-story skyscraper. Once again, Betelgeuse would be the skyscraper, the sun would be the human, and Earth would be the sand particle. But the fun doesn't end there. If we make the sun a sand particle, then UY Scuti would be a 50-story tall skyscraper. Well, yeah. Story 15. Space-time, singularity, photons, neutrinos passing through me at this very moment, gamma rays and black holes. Just mind-boggling. Oh, and the very fact that every single one of us is made of star stuff. Yes, those building blocks of your anatomy at one point or another were part of some star. Story 16. If you took Elon Musk's approximate net worth in $1 bills, laid edge-to-edge lengthwise, you could wrap planet Earth 1,700 times at the equator. Dollar bills representing Elon Musk's net worth would cover approximately 29% of the average distance from Earth to Mars. Also, Elon Musk's net worth in $1 bills could wrap around Jupiter approximately 151 times. Story 17. Space is big. You just will not believe how vastly, hugely, mind-bogglingly big it is. I mean, you may think it is a long way down the road to the chemists, but that is just peanuts to space. Douglas Adams. Story 18. Space is empty. A vacuum which by definition has nothing in it. And yet, it is traversable and expanding. You can put things into it, and as far as we know, the volume is growing. Something that is nothing has volume. And outside of that space, there is a nothing that is more true nothing than what we currently know is nothing. Story 19. This is a subtle one. It's strange that there seem to be two kinds of movement. Two or more objects moving away from each other through space, and two or more objects with the space between them expanding or contracting, and there's no way to tell the difference. Story 20. Space is unbelievably big. It is so big, the speed of light is pretty slow. It would take almost 2 light years just to leave our solar system. Story 21. The Hercules Corona Borealis Great Wall, or simply the Great Wall, is a galaxy filament that is the largest known structure in the observable universe, measuring approximately 10 billion light-years in length. The observable universe is about 93 billion light-years in diameter. The length of it is greater than 10% of the diameter of the observable universe. Story 22. Everything is made up of nothing. The distance between the nucleus of an atom and an electron is quite large, similar to placing a paperclip in the middle of a football stadium. Story 23. The speed of light is the fastest anything can travel in the universe. An object with mass, like a human, can never reach the speed of light. An object with no mass, like a photon, can only travel at the speed of light. Story 24. Even though it is around -270 degrees Fahrenheit in space, it would take 12 to 24 hours to freeze to death without a spacesuit. Obviously, assuming you have some magical means to breathe air and not catastrophically decompress. Story 25. The size. My astronomy professor demonstrated this by having us look at a note card with dots which averaged about an inch apart. Takes light, the fastest thing we know about 4 years to go between these points. Also, if you were to make a map of the Milky Way galaxy at this scale, the map would be the size of California. Story 26. I'm going to butcher this, and Brian Greene does a better job explaining it, but imagine Lisa has 1,000 dresses and 1,000 shoes. She can wear any combination of dresses and shoes. If she has an infinite amount of days, she will eventually come to a day when she wears the same dress and shoes combination. Makes sense. There can only be a finite amount of matter in a given volume. Makes sense. That matter can only be arranged in a finite number of ways before they inevitably repeat. Makes sense. Take a sugar cube amount of space, fill it half full with matter. That matter can be made into particles of hydrogen, lead, and so on. Take that sugar cube and copy it infinitely. The patterns of matter will inevitably repeat. Makes sense. Now turn that sugar cube into a 3-dimensional cube, the size of our observable universe, 14 billion light-years. The matter in it has made everything we see. Now turn that cube of space into an infinite 3-dimensional chessboard of cosmic horizons. The matter in those cosmic horizon cubes will have a finite amount of matter, arranged in a finite number of patterns. In an infinite universe, there are infinite repeating patterns of matter. Wrap your head around that. Story 27. How big it is. Every time I try to comprehend it, I have an existential crisis-fueled panic attack. It's so big, and we're so small, and whether or not we destroy our planet will mean nothing to anyone but us. And whether or not I personally throw something plastic in the garbage doesn't matter because individual people aren't the cause of the issue, corporations are. So why does what I do matter if I'm not the cause of the crisis happening on a planet that only affects the planet? So the rest of the galaxy doesn't care, and even a crisis on a galactic scale doesn't matter because it doesn't affect the rest of the universe. So the universe doesn't care, so who cares? No one. Just us. Throw the plastic in the garbage because it ultimately doesn't matter. You will never be the cause of anything that affects the universe. But actually, still recycle and cut up soda bottle rings because this is our only planet at the moment. And if we destroy it, we all die, and even though we don't matter on a universal scale, we should still matter to each other no matter how big the universe gets. Story 28. We can see into the past. Some of the light we see through our telescope has been traveling since shortly after the Big Bang. So the things we see are from millions or billions of years ago, and they might not exist anymore. Crazy. Story 29. How large it is. No matter how many times I go through the "if the moon were a pixel" or universe-size comparison videos on YouTube, it's totally incomprehensible. I can't believe we're that small. I can't believe the sun is actually tiny compared to other stars. Story 30. The fact that the sun is not stationary and is moving through space while the planets follow a corkscrew path circling it, like flies buzzing around a pile of waste. Story 31. As Carl Sagan said, "We are a way for the universe to know itself. We are a temporary arrangement of atoms, stardust, that can contemplate its place in the universe." Story 32. It's big, big, big. A size that the human mind has difficulty understanding. I can get in a spaceship and fly 20 million miles, and that only gets me about halfway to the nearest planet. Story 33. The worst possible doomsday scenario is a false vacuum decay, and it would happen so fast there's literally no possible way to detect if one is heading our way. Story 34. That singularities are infinitely dense? I highly doubt that, as it would break the laws of physics. Instead, I think they are completely dense. Meaning, how every atom is 0.01% mass and 99.9% empty space? A singularity would be entirely mass with no empty space, because all the subatomic particles are crushed together, and the force of gravity easily overcomes the force that keeps electrons and protons reasonably far apart from one another. Story 35. If the Milky Way were shrunk down to the size of the continental United States, the solar system would be as big as the tip of your pointer finger, and the sun would fit between two ridges of your fingerprint. Space is immensely large. All of his videos are fantastic and gorgeous. Story 36. Two things for me. Time being relative is really fascinating. The scenario of astronauts in a rocket just outside a black hole, near the event horizon, and another astronaut falling into the black hole. The ones in the ship will see the astronaut falling very quickly, while the astronaut falling into the black hole will see the ship move away slowly. I hope I explained this correctly. The other is looking at the Andromeda galaxy with other stars in our galaxy in the background. It's amazing to me that Andromeda can appear side by side with stars in our galaxy, but that is far from the truth. Then, to think that Andromeda is a collection of millions of stars sitting right next to our individual stars. I can't really articulate it. Story 37. There is an old Arabic saying that there are more stars in the sky than grains of sand on the earth. Next time you are at the beach or in a desert, let that sink in. Story 38. Space is either infinite or it's not infinite. Either way, it challenges your mind. I can't even conceive infinity without short-circuiting. If it's not infinite, what does the edge look like? And if it's not infinite, that implies there's something else outside of it. I know there are all sorts of theories, such as rounded bubbles that are expanding into some other space, but no one really knows. Let's not even get into the fact that the known universe is billions of light years across, meaning it would take you billions of years at light speed, if you could travel at light speed, just to cross it. It's truly mind-boggling. Meanwhile, on this little speck, I'm worried about the wording of an email I received. Small matters. Story 39. If you measure the speed of a baseball while moving at the speed of a baseball, then its measured speed would be 0. If you measure the speed of light while moving at the speed of light, it is still the speed of light. Story 40. At the current rate of expansion, there will be a point in time when the universe will be expanding faster than light can travel. So we will no longer be receiving updates from the farthest regions of the universe. Story 41. That 99.999% is just empty space, or the other way around, only 0.001% is actually filled with something. And we happen to live on an even smaller part. Earth is about 0.00000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000 1% of the universe. Story 42. Just the size. How much there is. Sometimes I think about the fact that somewhere out in the universe there are amazing, wondrous things that no human will ever see because they are simply too far away, and that makes me sad. Story 43. Space is big. Really big. You just won't believe how vastly, hugely, mind-bogglingly big it is. I mean, you may think it's a long way down the road to the pharmacy, but that's just peanuts to space. Story 44. It doesn't end. It goes on forever, but it's getting bigger, which means there's something else out there. What is it? What happens to it when space takes over its place? Is it just pushing it to the side, compacting it? Can it push back?